Hello, all. Hope everyone is well. Let me know, give me some feedback on any video issues that you may see. All right, I just want to make sure I'm as handsome as I think I am. Oh. All right, y'all. So, again, welcome to the Managing Anxiety Workshop. This has been something I have wanted to do for quite a long time. And Jess, can you do me a favor? Can you turn down your audio? Thank you so much. So this is something I've been wanting to do for a while. I do this privately for entrepreneurial groups that you may see, people who have memberships and things of that nature. I actually do workshops just like this for them monthly. Typically they have, a room of 50 people or so, and they sit back and I teach them mental health topics of their interest, right? Because all of us are interested in becoming mentally healthy, especially past the last 2 years. This has been something that has been very, very important to us. So the Managing Anxiety Workshop, I would say, is one of the primary topics that we can cover because a large proportion of Americans in 2023 are dealing with what we diagnose as generalized anxiety disorder. Disorder is somewhat of a harsh term, but dealing with generalized anxiety. So I want to get started here. And so for those of you who do know us, of course, this is the crew, and this crew here is down in Atlanta. And the one thing that even for those of you who know us, I wanted to highlight is in moving to Atlanta, that all five people here dealt with some level of anxiety. Like every single person in these photos dealt with some level of anxiety during the transition of moving here, because anxiety in and of itself is a somewhat normal emotion. It's a normal feeling. It is the outliers of anxiety that we want to help manage or rid of if we possibly can. So my question is to those in the room is, what is the current feeling you're feeling right now? As you sit right now, you can put it in the chat. If you wanted to expound on it, you can come off of mute. Let me know if you can't come off mute and I can help you with that. But I want you to please tell me, what do you feel right now when it comes to one of these emojis? I'll start here. One of the things that I'm feeling like is I am feeling warm. I am feeling confident. I am feeling, I'm feeling intelligent. That's how I'm feeling right now. Anyone else? Can anyone else tell me how they feel? Again, if you all are able to come off of mute, I do welcome you to do so if you can. Anyone else? Content. Okay. Jazz, what about you?
Hmm. I just wrote that I am feeling excited because I'm excited to be here and to host this webinar. But I'm also a little bit in the future in my head, to be honest, and that is giving me a little of anxiousness because we are driving up to Cleveland for the boys' spring break, and I have a lot on my plate. So having a lot to do always makes me feel a little anxious.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. So I'm gonna throw you back all on mute here. And all right. So with that being said, it's why is it important that we do this? Right? Says she's feeling warm. That's remarkable. Why is it important that we do this? Because one of the key ways that we can, of course, relieve ourselves when it comes to the feelings of anxiousness or just stress in and of itself is being able to name the actual feeling. So oftentimes we'll say something like, I am feeling I'm feeling anxious. We can even just start there. Well, let's put a name to it. I'm feeling anxious. Why are we feeling anxious? It's because, right now I am feeling rejected, and that rejection is causing me to think about, why am I being rejected, and maybe I don't want to think that way. Maybe I'm irritated, and that irritation is just building up, and that's causing me to feel a bit of anxiousness. So I want to go ahead and move forward, but I want you all to understand that it is very, very, very important that when you are feeling a feeling of anxiousness or stress, or what we call anger, those are umbrella emotions. And so because they fit something fits under that, we have to get underneath that and give it a name and work on identifying where that name came from, why we have that name, and why it's important that we identify it, other than just giving it a generalized identity. Okay. So another scale I want you all to work through is this. When we talk about mental distress, this is a simple way for you to see where you are. I'm not going to ask you where you are, because, I don't want you to put out your own business, but I will say, where are you right now? Like, you don't even have to hide from you right now. I want you to be vulnerable with yourself. Where are you right now? And when we look at that number one, everything is okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong. Bills paid. I just, ate the breakfast of my dreams. I'm on my way out of town for vacation to a place I've been dreaming about. Like, life is great. I have no issues, not one. Anybody in the room like that? is there is there anybody in the room who could say, I feel like I am I'm a number one, Jack? All right. Now, I would imagine that most adults are around that area of 3, 4, 5, possibly, right? 3, 4, 5. Okay. Um, and let me also say, there's nothing wrong with being in the 3, 4, 5 range. There's nothing wrong with being in the 7, 8 range, because maybe you are right there right now. I mean, look at number 8. I can't hide my struggles anymore. I'm having some issues with sleeping, eating. I'm having a real tough time being able to socialize. Here's why I say there's nothing wrong with it. It's because we're able to identify it. You are alive to identify it. You're alive to work on it. You're alive to share with someone that, hey, I need help, that I can't manage this area that I'm in right now. I haven't had the sleep I've wanted to in the last week. My eating patterns have gotten completely thrown off. I've not been hungry the way that I wanted to be. Even when I'm in an environment of fun and socializing, I feel like I don't have it in me to give. And so there's nothing wrong with identifying where you are, but it is important to identify it. It is important to understand, where am I on the scale? And so when we're at that number 10 level, think about number 10. Every time I do a workshop, when we're talking to schools, we're talking to whoever, we always identify like this ninth and 10th scale, this level of scale, as this is a team functioning level of urgency. So if you're at a 9, or if you know someone at a 9, it is not it is not above you to be able to say, I need to jump in here. I need to be able to say something. I need to step in here and help this person, because right now they're going through something that they may not be able to voice. And just because they can't voice it doesn't mean that they're in an emergency. There is a show on Netflix that, depicts people who are, first responders. And oftentimes when you're in an emergency, guess what you can't do when you're on the gurney, when they're operating? You can't talk. You're sitting there and you need the most help you've ever needed in your life, and you can't talk. And so just because someone's not talking about whatever they're going through doesn't mean that they don't need the help. So whether that's yourself, understand you need to talk. If that's someone else, if you see the signs, then it is on you to say something. It don't mean you got to call it out publicly, but maybe you figure out a way to at least give them the space. Listen, I don't know, maybe if you're going through something that you want to keep to yourself, I understand that. I've been there. Empathy. Meet them with empathy. I've been there. I understand, how you may not want to talk about it, but understand that I'm here for you, that I don't have to say much of anything. I don't have to give my opinion, but I'm here for you. If you want me to sit with you, I can do that. If you want to just talk, I can listen. Whatever you need, let me know. Now you've provided them space and opportunity without judgment, without criticism, without your opinion, to be able to say, you know what, I may have a safe space over there, and I may not have to do something drastic that crushes the emotions and the hearts of the people around me. Okay. All right. So anxiety defined. I want to define anxiety because, of course, it has many different versions with how people view anxiety in and of itself. Like I said earlier, anxiety is a normal stress reaction, okay? And it can be beneficial. So let me kind of explain why anxiety can be beneficial. If we are someone who is on the scale of low anxiety, we may have what's called apathy. So if you are at work and you don't have any pressure, man, you sitting back like this. You like, yo, I'm at work. Like I have no pressure to perform, to do absolutely anything. If you're in your relationship and you don't have some level of anxiety, right? You may just be like, I mean, they over there, I'm over here, we cool. And it may not be any, may not bother you at all. But there's a gradient that needs to happen where there's a level of anxiety that is healthy for us. It makes us performative. It allows us to be alive. It's the feeling of, I need to get up and go. I need to function today. I need to just get up and make things happen. It is when we start kind of crossing over that bell curve where it becomes worrisome, that now it becomes an issue where our best thoughts can't even happen because we're dealing with the pervasive thoughts of the future. We're dealing with persistent and excessive anxiety where our normal day-to-day functions are no longer able to be realized because we're stuck in this mode of worry, of this worry of fear, of unease, of tension, and we're constantly stuck there, so much to the point that when we cross down that bell curve down towards the end, we're reaching burnout, we're reaching depression, we're reaching feelings that we can't get out of because it has been so pervasive in our life and in our emotion that we can't even see ourselves anymore. We have a feeling of dissociation from ourselves. I don't even feel myself anymore. I'm numb to the emotions that I used to feel. I'm just numb. I don't feel much of anything. That is when anxiety has come to a place of crippling us, and we need some help. All right. So anybody ever felt this? Anybody ever felt this? Right. And let me just kind of paint this picture. This is some crazy stuff, man. Like when I tell you that anxiety, we gonna get this thing off of us, and we gonna deal with this, okay? Because anxiety is a physical outcome, it is an emotional outcome, of course, it is a spiritual outcome, and it is something that we got to get it up off of us, y'all. We can't be walking around with this level of fear and worry, right? We need that power of a sound mind. That is extremely important. So when we think about this, right? Dread, we looking at our phones. How much dread has come across your phone? Whether it's a text message that somebody sent you with some bad news, whether it is something you read on the news, that's on social media, maybe it's looking at your bank account. Dread, right? You're thinking about all these areas that come from this device. It could be fear. I have a fear of something in the future, right? Anxiety in and of itself is a idealization of something in the future that has not been realized. So we're worried about something that is not yet taking place. So thinking about that gives us jitters. Jitters turns into lack of appetite. Okay. How many of y'all have understood that when I'm feeling anxious, my appetite is gone? Smoke. If it's any easy way to lose weight, what they always say, stress. Stress will help you lose weight. Why? Let's go back to why we said in the beginning that sometimes stress in and of itself can be good for us. Here's why. Because back in the day, way back, when our, ancestors was dealing with, bears and woolly mammoths. Wait, did people actually see woolly mammoths? I don't know. I don't think people were on Earth when woolly mammoths were here. Nevertheless, let me say that whenever there was these large animals, or you were in the forest and you had the spear and you was running with the spear and you had to chuck it to kind of get your kill for the day, you had to understand that that was a level of fear, right? And the reason that fear was important, the reason that fear and anxiety were important then was because the release of cortisol, the hormone that allows us to be stressed in that moment, allows us to also focus. So whenever you're fearful, if you're walking in a room that's scary, guess what? Nothing else is important. Not how good the Chipotle bowl in your bag is, not how much sex you can get that night, not how much money you can make as soon as you get out of here. The only thing that's important when you're walking through a dark room or you hear an animal coming behind you is getting the safety. And what stress does is it hones down, it gets our thinking to be very acute. And so back then, stress was very useful because the only thing that was important was survival. And that's what stress puts us in. It puts us in survival mode. But the problem with it is that we don't want to be in a chronic state of survival. And so because of that, it ends up causing us detrimental health issues. Okay? Man, that's good. Remember that. We do not want to be in a chronic state of stress. We do not want to be in a chronic state of panic. We don't want to have a job that's that way. We don't want to feel alive because we're in a state of stress. For those who are still dating, this is also why, and I'm going to lift off this point, this is also why those who are dating become bored with the guy who doesn't necessarily wow or excite you, because your stress level set has been raised up because of the way that the other guy used to talk to you, because he used to sell drugs and his life was fast, because he was just a fast living person. So now when the guy that's down here stress wise, he's living a normal day, 9 to 5. He talks to you, respectfully. He's just not exciting as far as maybe how he makes you feel, but his life is very set. His life is very conformed and responsible. You get bored because the brain wants to return back to that state until you reset it over time. So just understand that stress can be something that is useful. It can also be something that hurts us. All right. So for those of you who are these high level achievers, okay, and you think that you're using stress as a means of making it happen, that's cool. At the top of the iceberg, you look highly organized. You look very detail oriented. Matter of fact, man, you a high achiever, right? You a beast out here. You're proactive. You are a leader, C-level, CEO, founder, running a cup. You are a boss dog. Underneath that, though, highly functioning, anxious people are scared of letting people down. They're people pleasers. They're over planners, which can be a level of obsessive compulsive disorder, right? And I hate the word disorder. Disorder is, but they can be obsessively compulsive about things. Excessive worry into the future. There's your anxiety, generalized or not. Constant need for reassurance. Constantly the need for reassurance, because you need to feel as if you're doing the right thing, because that is a way to stave off the feeling of anxiousness. If I check in with you, if I don't check in with you, then that creeping in of, man, I don't know if I'm doing good. Here comes anxiety, like a rushing wind. So what I do is I constantly check in. Yo, how do you feel about that? Is that a good job? And the minute you give me the reassurance, the wind blows the other way with anxiety. So I'm constantly checking in to make sure that anxiety goes away. It's a behavior, it's a maladaptive behavior that we have to break. Okay. Poor boundaries. We're going to talk about boundaries. And then also having impossibly high standards, highly functioning people. So it's one thing to say that I am all these things at the top, but it's also one thing to understand what is underneath that is keeping this iceberg afloat? Like, am I a detail-oriented person because, I am constantly needing reassurance? And so it seems like I got my stuff together. Am I a high achiever, but I have poor boundaries? Something to think about. Okay, so how do we whittle ourselves down into this? Okay, and I want you all to kind of see these scales in these diagrams so that you can see yourself. So you can see yourself, right? Are you someone who has excessive drive and ambition, which only forces you to work harder? Once you start working harder, guess what you do? You neglect your needs. You become less important because you have to fulfill the ends of working harder, which comes from your excessive drive and ambition. Once you neglect your needs, then you start to displace conflict. You start to move the conflictual parts of your life around. You start to move them so you can still continue to do what you do. You part the Red Sea on your conflict. You look at your conflict as if it's in the way. Yes, mommy, I gotta go to practice. But if that level of work that you got to get done becomes more important, or it soothes your anxiousness, then your child can be in the way. Don't mistake it. Your child can be in the way. Your marriage could be in the way. Okay? If then you return into denial. Mommy, you never take me to practice. You don't care about me. Baby, we don't spend any time together anymore. But that's not true. You know that what's number 5? I'm working. You know that I have to work to provide. So now you're in denial, or you gaslight others' realities as if they're not true. We then go into withdrawal. Why? Because I can't feel the reality of what you're saying. I don't want to feel it. I'm closing my eyes. I'm getting away. None of this is true. I'm not the bad person that this is making me feel like. Behavioral changes. We jump into behavioral changes. Suddenly you are not the person that you used to be. You don't seem as positive. You seem very negative. You're seeming like you're distant. Depersonalization. You don't even seem like yourself. You don't even realize who you are anymore. Emptiness, anxiety, depression, mental and physical collapse. This is a toppling Jenga that can happen in your life, and it starts with, bravo, how ambitious are you? Look at you working hard. And it's that feedback, especially when we're teenagers or in our young 20s, that then we thrive on as a level of applause and a level of, yo, I need that. I need to feel that admiration. Man, that I need to feel that. So much so that I get addicted to the praise. Hmm. All right. So here are some methods and I want to kind of get right to the tools that you all can kind of take away from this. Here are the methods in which you can use to self-soothe. All right. Here are some methods that you can use in order to self-soothe. All right. So here's number one, self-soothing in and of itself, which is getting something to touch, right? That is maybe a stress ball. It's getting something to hear. Music may be something where you escape and, like, I just feel good when I'm in this space of just listening to music. Now, listen, I ain't say put on Meg Thee Stallion. I didn't say, listen to that old Dr. Dre. That's not gonna make you feel better. Okay. That in and of itself may just raise your stress levels. But understand that there is music that is going to be able to provide a level of self-care. Maybe it's meditation music, some of that spa music that, maybe you sit in the room and that spa music lets you kind of decompress, right? Maybe it's something to smell. Maybe it's a candle, it's a favorite perfume, it's lavender. It is something like that that allows your senses to calm down. All right. Next, distractions. Now, I want to say, when it comes to distractions, let's be very careful here. All right. Let's be very careful here. Distractions are something we don't want to use all the time, right? But they're useful at the right time. If I've been ruminating on something all day long and I can't get off my mind, let's just say that you're waiting, for somebody to come home because you have to have a tough conversation and you can't get to them. So a lot of times with anxiety, we ruminate on that until we can get free. Anybody ever been there where you just can't, like, I can't actually have the conversation because the person's at work, but I gotta have it. And so now I'm stuck. Like now it's just in my belly. I can't eat. I'm just sick. And it's legitimately the worst feeling that there is. Okay. Replaying old conversations. Yes, Jasmine, when you start replaying those old conversations, guess what? You start making up stories because we know that the brain needs to fill space and gaps where there is no story to actually tell ourselves. So that's also dangerous. So distractions, going to listen to music, putting on a movie, getting yourself to laugh. I'm not telling you that this is going to necessarily relieve you 100%, but it is something that will help you other than pacing around your house, tearing up them socks, tearing up that floor, stumping everywhere because you can't get your mind off of something. Yes, there's a better way. All right. Opposite action. I find this to be very powerful. This is some of the most goofiest stuff to me that when I think of it, like if you stressed, like there is a way for you to just do the opposite. Oh, wait 1 second. There's a way for you to do the opposite. I'm going to do the opposite of how I feel. I'm going to look in the mirror after I just got fired and I'm going to say, you are employed. You, I just broke up. You got a boyfriend. You are loved. You, I'm gonna look in that mirror after I just got on that scale and it was 10 pounds over than what I thought it was and say, you know what, body, you are slim, or at least you slim thick. You at least slim thick out here. You ain't not, you might not be slim, but listen, we ain't what that scale say, and we gonna get where we gotta go. I may not have a job today, but somebody thinking about hiring me, somebody thinking about it. And that's the way we have to look at it. We have to go into the opposite action, right? Speaking to ourselves from a place of which we're not is in a powerful way of, yes, Cynthia, affirming yourself and speaking things into existence, right? Speaking those things that are not as though they were. So also something funny or, whatever it might be, watching Martin, watching, any movie that make you laugh, something that takes your mind away from what you were doing, okay? Having emotional awareness. All right. Emotional awareness is extremely important. Um, Being able to say, I journaled out what I was feeling. How many people in this room could attest to this idea of when I journal, I start writing things that I actually didn't know I was thinking. I start writing things that I actually didn't know I was thinking. Like I may start with, journal, I am so mad. And then next thing you know, here comes a new thought you didn't think all day long. Because when I'm upset, nobody comes and checks on me. And here you go, writing, HMMM. Right. So like here you go, you're writing down stuff that you're thinking that you didn't think 5 minutes ago. But that's the power of journaling. There's also the power of meditating, being able to sit there. And I don't care if you cross your fingers like this, if you sit there in the genie pose, if you cross your legs, crisscross applesauce, if you sit in the prayer room laying flat on your belly, as flat as you can get on that belly, however you can do, but being in a place of a meditative or prayer stance is going to allow you to quiet your mind and allow your spirit to speak to you. It's going to allow you to have a level of calmness, which raises your awareness of what's going on. You'll be able to see your thoughts at a completely different level when you shut up. When you close your mouth, you're able to then see what's going on with you. And sometimes what's going on with you is that you're talking too much. Sometimes what's going on with you is that you're trying to solve all your problems in real time. And you have to get to a place where you're just quiet, where you're quiet. Like that in and of itself can cause, oh my God, I didn't think about that. You sitting there and here comes a thought, it just comes right. I have said, that thoughts are like passing clouds. I don't need to understand all of them. I just know that if I looked out that window and a cloud was passing, I'm like, that cloud looked just like a horse. If I come back out in 15 minutes, that cloud is gone. So I look at that cloud and I say, that cloud looks like that. Ooh, that cloud looks like disappointment. And I could pay attention to that cloud and get stuck on it, because I'm thinking about the disappointment from 1997. But why do I need to focus on that cloud? I can acknowledge it. I can say that's a thought. That's maybe something that's ruminating in my mind, causing me stress. Maybe I need to journal about that. Maybe I need to sit back and journal about that and take my time journaling about that. Maybe I need to do that. And I choose to do that, right? Okay. Is that good, everybody? I love that, man. I love that. And that I kind of roll right into mindfulness there. Mindfulness is very powerful. Anybody practice any levels of mindfulness? Meditation, relaxation. If you go on YouTube, right, and if you put in mindfulness music or guided meditation or guided prayer or spiritual prayer or spoken word or anything like that, man, like these people out here, they have put together 10 hours worth of mindfulness where you can put it on going to sleep at night, where you can legit say, you know what, I am going to I'm going to put this on and I'm going to allow these words to be spoken over me at night. And that's going to sit in your spirit, it's going to sit in your body, it's going to sit in your mental space. And when you wake up, I believe and I attest that you're going to feel a little bit better. If you're 1% better, you're better. If you're 1% better, you're better. And so we have to do some of these things that may not necessarily um, physically move the needle. I know that if I drink this water, it is going to hydrate me and make me go to the bathroom and it's going to make some things take shape, right? But sometimes I got to do some stuff that I may not be able to actually see that I know may work for me. All right. And then lastly is a crisis plan. We have to have a crisis plan. Who is your crisis partner? Who is your crisis partner? I didn't ask you are you in a crisis? I'm asking you, do you have a crisis plan? If you know that you've been in a situation recently where things aren't going your way, and mentally, man, you're struggling, right? Have you acknowledged that with somebody where you can say, I have at least told one person what's going on with me, and I have given them authorization to check on me and to call me. I've given them that freedom to do so because I need somebody to check in on me so that when they ask me the tough questions, it forces me to be vulnerable about what I'm going through. So if I've been holding on for some the last 3 days, they call me right on time, they check on me, and now I have to say something. Okay. I charge you to create that. All right. So here we are, 4 ways to deal with stress. There's some other ways here. When we're at home, my wife, she does this all the time. When we're at home, getting organized. How many of you here would say that your space, when it's clean, and it is right, boy, it changes your mood. I mean, seriously, listen, it is something to be said when you don't see the toys on the floor, and them dirty t-shirts and towels and things of that nature. Like that stuff's all been put away. It's in the washing room. The dishwasher's running, house smelling like lemon. And for those of you who real old school, when we ain't had no money, we used to put the dishwashing liquid on the stove and just turn it on and make the house smell good. Anybody know about that? Y'all know about that? All right. So listen, maybe it's just getting organized. And maybe it's not even your house getting organized. Maybe it's getting your life organized. I have said over and over again that when something's ruminating up here, when it's ruminating up here, I have very little clarity. I have to get it written out. So in our journal, let me see if I got one there, but I don't. In our journal, we have, oh, in the journal, we have this section called brain drain, right? Let me bring it down. And so I would incorporate, I started doing the brain drain in the car, in my phone. And I would stop, I would drop off the kids, and I would just have so much on my mind before I started my workday that I had to go to my notes section and write out. I'm talking about anything I could think of, y'all. I'm talking about, I would say, gotta put air in the tire. Call mom about that. drink more water today. I would just put everything that I had thought about at some particular point during the day or yesterday. I would put it in my brain drain so I could see it. I needed to see it. And once I seen it, I could take action. But as someone, and this just may be my brain, you know, I do have ADHD. Okay. I do diagnose, professionally diagnosed. And because of that, it is easy for me to take one thought and layer it over another and not see it again. And that becomes a mix of, it didn't go away. I'm not able to get to it. So suddenly that thought gets layered over with another thought or another idea. And there's something else. And I never really get to them, but they're stacking up in the background. So I needed to get organized. All right. So yes, you guys are doing great in the chat, by the way. I love it. All right. So in the long term, how do we do this? Exercising regularly. Exercising regularly. Okay. Eating well. There are foods, right? High processed foods can cause you stress. It can stress the body. High processed foods, right? Anything that comes in a box is typically going to be some highly processed food. All right. Practicing relaxation techniques. I thought I almost said relaxation. Oh boy. All right. Now, in the short term, taking a walk. You feeling a certain way? Take a walk. Studies show, hey, listen, studies show that sunlight early in the morning, the earlier in your awakening that you get sunlight, it releases dopamine. Hey, want to know another fun fact? That dopamine, 60% of its production lies in the gut. Did you know that? 60% of dopamine production lies in the gut. Why? I'm about to go on a tangent. Stay with me here. All right. So when you were born, where's that little ball? I need these things next to me. Okay. These little balls. All right. When you were born, the little embryo looked like this, right? Let's say this is you. You're the little embryo. The thing that's very interesting about how God created this whole thing is your gut, let's say, was here and your brain was up here, but you were all one big ball. But as you stretched out, here come your legs, here come your belly, here come your brain. Guess what never got detached from each other? Your gut and your brain. All right. It is something called the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is a direct connection to your brain, right? And it's an amazing thing. You are, in essence, connected to your gut, which is why you can eat turkey and then become sleepy 5 minutes later, right? That is amazing. So I say this to say, based on what we eat and what we put in our gut, we understand that that can change us. I can change our energy. It changes our mental clarity, right? It changes our ability to have proper digestion. Did you know that when you take right now, one of my kids had strep throat this past week. So he has to take a antibacterial medicine, right? But that bacteria that you wash away with that medicine could be generations worth of bacteria. So what grandma got through 40 years ago, that bacteria is passed down yes, Jasmine, perfect. It is passed down generation to generation. And these antibiotic medicines then washes that away. So it may take you another 10 years to just develop that healthy bacteria over and over where you can say, I have plenty enough all over again. It may not be that old historic bacteria that is good for us, but at the same time, we're able to get it back. All right. All right. So I say that to say, I'm going to move on here from this area. Relationships. Hey, listen, one way to deal with your stress, remove external stressors. If people are stressing you out, then you may have to kick them out. All right. If people are stressing you out, you may have to kick them out. That's just the truth. I can rap, y'all. If people are stressing you out, then why are you don't have to deal with them. Okay. Get to the root of the problem. When it comes to relationships, so many times we allow stuff to fester instead of calling it out, instead of saying what is the issue. Because when we do that, we're able to then work on it. We can work on an issue when we identify it. If there's an issue in a relationship, it is often not because a person wants to become an issue with you. It is simply because they're their own individual person, and they and your history and their history are not matching. That could be your friendship. It could be a relationship, an intimate one, where you have to be able to say, I need to address what the deal is, because yes, we're not the same person. We're going to run into each other. So let's talk about it. All right. Also, saving time for yourself. I wake up, I save. Okay. So this is for anyone who wants this challenge, right? For those of you who are night owls in the room, who are night owls, who gets their best work done at night? Me, Tori, Cynthia. All right. Best work done at night. So I, like you, used to be a night owl. And I still am. I still appreciate the nighttime. All right, Tierra. All right, great. I imagine that you became a night owl though because you have children. Okay, that's typically the reason that you definitely run into that issue. So here's what I'm going to say. I used to stay up late, but what would happen is that because my kids have to go to school, I would then be tired in the morning. I would drag. I would be irritable. I wouldn't be the best version of myself. Okay. And so I just, I was tired of me feeling that way. I was tired of me bringing that off into my family. So what I did was I switched it. I started going to bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock. I've been consistent with this for almost 2 months. And Jasmine, my witness here. I will go to bed. I will, whether I'm leaving the party, whether I'm leaving the movie that the family's watching, whatever I'm doing, I try to stick to that consistency because it pays off for me. And I wake up at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and I get the same amount of hours that you do. I get the same amount of hours that you do to work, except my work is no longer interrupted. It's not interrupted anymore. When I wake up that early, people don't wake up for another 4 hours. That's 4 hours of me. I got sleep already, right? And now I get to wake up before everyone. I get to get my coffee. I may do something I enjoy, and no one's up. They don't want to be up, right? They don't want to be up. By the time it's 7 o'clock, I'm like, yo, what's up, everybody? Like, we're feeling good. I made time for myself. I created a space for myself that allows me to thrive. And I can still go to bed at a respectable hour. That cool? Just something to try. All right. So, how many of y'all is this? You start the day at 100%, and just like your phone, you end up right around 25%, 0%. We don't want to be this way. Okay. We don't want to be this way. So I want to take a moment for mindfulness. Okay. I do want to take a moment for mindfulness. And I'm going to teach you one way that you can actually do some mindfulness. And this one's called box breathing. Okay. I'm a huge fan of box breathing. I love box breathing. I think it's a very, very easy form of mindfulness when it comes to breathing. Breathing is important. Why? Because the less oxygen your brain has, the more stressed it is. Okay. Blood flow to the brain allows more, it slows down the heart rate, right? You need air in the brain to slow down the heart. That's why people say, yo, breathe, man. And the more air you have flowing through the body, it lowers cortisol. Okay. Cortisol, long term, as a chronic stress releasing hormone, leads to things like dementia, Alzheimer's. It leads to issues in the gut, which is why, if you study the issues with a lot of type 2 diabetics, you can look back in their history and they have dealt with chronic stress. Okay, keep going. So, mindfulness. So, let's take a minute. We're going to take a minute for mindfulness. And so, I'm going to teach you how to do box breathing. Okay, how we do box breathing is this. All right. So, we're going to breathe in for 8 seconds, hold for 8 seconds, breathe out the mouth for 8 seconds, And then we're going to take another breath through the nose for 8 seconds. And so you should be able to follow this diagram. So it's 8 seconds, nose, hold, 8 seconds, release, mouth, boy, and then 8, nose. Y'all see that? That's some terrible backwards handwriting. All right. So we're going to breathe through the nose for 8 seconds, hold it out the mouth, and in through the nose for another 8 seconds. Let's do that for 1 minute together. And then we will return. And I'm going to take my mug off of video for a moment. How was that for anybody? You want to provide me some feedback on how they feel now versus before? Yes, and somebody can come off a mute if you need to, or type in the chat. How did that make you feel? More relaxed. Um, I mean, y'all can see in me, it lowered my cadence, right? Like I'm more relaxed now than I was a second ago. It lowered I mean, I'm talking slower, calm. And so, often when we are in a heightened state of emotion, we're in a heightened state of awareness, whatever it may be. Okay. Hopefully you're not in a heightened state. You're running from the police and you got to breathe. I ain't saying that type of heightened state. You just need to pull over, give it up. Okay. But if you are in a heightened state of, whatever's going on in life, um, this is a great way to help just slow down. And so basically what you realize is what I just said before that was true. That when we provide our brains more oxygen, it slows us down. And a lot of times we try to fight through it by getting more reason, getting more information, moving faster. And a lot of times it's just, I need to slow down. I need to get away for a second. Just hey, y'all, give me 10 minutes. And getting away, you're gonna come back and you're gonna have more clarity. So now the ideas you were looking for are gonna come to you. You're going to have more peace of mind. The things you might have said in that argument, you're not gonna say. You're gonna come back and be like, you know what? I was about to cuss you out, okay? But you lucky that I crossed my arms and started breathing. You lucky, okay? So that's the way that you have to think about it. It's a benefit for everybody, okay? It's a benefit for all right? Do I have 10 minutes? Do I have 10 minutes? I just want to make sure. If I have 10 minutes, I want to just dive into boundaries really quick because this is a way of us managing our stress. I just want to get the group vote that I got 10 minutes, if that's okay. All right. I like the yeses. I love to teach y'all, so I love this. So I don't want to take up too much of your time though. All right, cool. So boundaries, okay? Boundaries are a tool for anxiety management. Boundaries are a tool for anxiety. How many of you feel that you have good boundaries? Who feels like they have good boundaries? Anybody? Okay, and let me qualify that. how many people feel they have good internal boundaries, things that to yourself protect you from you? Okay. Internal boundary. I'll give you an example. You need a boundary around you're trying to lose weight. You're trying to you're trying to stop spending money so much. So you put your credit cards at your mom's house. You no longer buy the snacks from the store. It's an internal boundary. An external boundary would be I protect myself from others. Okay, because I know that people are going to try to infringe on me, and I don't have the strength in my natural state to be able to protect myself. All right, so boundaries. Well, y'all really going off. Okay, I already know. I'm at the. I should have started with this. This is where y'all struggling, huh? All right. Well, listen. Lack of boundaries creates stress. Just to be very honest with you, right? Boundaries are your values, expectations, principles, or limits that you establish to keep yourself feeling safe, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Here's the three types of boundaries when we talk about the types. Physical, right? These are the things that, help me protect my space and my body, right? Listen, don't hug me. Boundaries, bruh. I'm chilling right now. Okay. It's March on. Okay. All right. I'm chilling right now. Boundaries, bro. I don't give handshakes. COVID's still popping. We giving fist bumps. All right. Mental boundaries. All right. Now these are more intangible. These are more difficult to actually create. Okay. Um, and these are our thoughts, our values, our opinions. Okay. I don't want to be a part of every conversation. Every conversation doesn't soothe me, doesn't help me. It stresses me. I don't want to be a part of that topic, right? I don't want to argue about church. I don't want to argue about the Bible. I don't want to argue about politics. I really don't want to argue about LeBron. Okay. I don't want to argue about any of them. I like the fact that my mental sanctity is protected. And then emotional boundaries are also intangible, but they can be felt. Okay. This is making sure that people who are not safe to you, who don't consider you the way that they should, that you keep them away from you. So I want to ask the group, what is your number one most violated boundary? Is it your physical space? Is it your emotional space? Is it your mental space? Which one is it for you? I would ask. What is your number one most violated boundary? Not internal, the other three. Mental. Okay. Mental. I can. Mental. Okay. So that mental space is being encumbered upon. And here's how it looks. This is kind of like a workplace boundary situation. This also happens primarily at work too. What happens is that in any of these areas, people infringe on you. Okay. So people then they say, you know what? I am going to ask her to do something that I have not planned on myself to do. Right. I'm going to ask my mom to do something that at the last minute that I didn't really, work on myself. So it's the last minute. Mom helps me. So what'd you do? You was about to take a nap. You know you was, right? You was about to take a nap. Your nap is now gone. No nap. Mom calls you. She needs something. Gotta come. Expectations increase. She came through. Mom came through. Uh, you know what, Mom? It's 2 weeks later. Mom, can you? Here you go again. Expectations increase. It gets to a place where you almost feel abused, right? You feel taken advantage of. I mean, you almost look at these people like, yo, do y'all love me? Like, this is crazy. Like, I understand like y'all need stuff from me, but man, this is feeling almost predatory. Like y'all actually understand the rhythm of getting the things y'all want, even if y'all can see that this is not good for me. That's a crazy feeling. But it starts with whose boundaries? Whose boundaries does it start with? Yours. And we take slight to providing boundaries to our children because we feel like we're doing them harm, when in essence, we're also teaching them how important boundaries are so that they can cultivate it. So I want to help you all with this. All right. And this is a diagram that allows you to see what's important, what's not. Right. That first quadrant, important, urgent. Let's do that now. Son, what? You got a paper due tomorrow. It's worth 100 points. Fine. Sit down. Get your book back. Let's do it now. Not urgent, but important. Wait, what? You have a paper to do. Okay. It is important. When is it due? A month from now? All right, baby, go in there and read, and we'll get back to you later. Okay. Urgent, but not important. Now, if it's urgent but not important, right? Mommy, they won't give me the remote. Mommy, blah blah blah. Okay, Caleb, can you go downstairs and do? Daughter, can you come over and help me with this turkey? Blah blah blah. And that may not be important to you, but maybe you could call your sister or your brother to go help. Maybe you can help them order something. Maybe you can walk them through it. Right? There's other things you can do that don't require you to be present. And then if it's not urgent or not important, then it ain't a task. If it's not urgent or not important, it's not a task. You have to be able to, this just helps you paint the picture of where you need to start sorting things in your life. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you that this may be a greater visual capability for you to move things around in your life. All right. Here's how you set those boundaries. Clarify your needs and wants. You identify your boundaries. You implement. Say it with me. We implement our boundaries. We tell people, I'm not doing that. Then you fine tune them. I'm going to give you an example of a boundary I have, and Jasmine knows this is true. I have a boundary with my kids about talking to me across the house. Don't yell at me from upstairs. Don't call me from 5 rooms away. Okay? It's not happening. I'm not about to yell back to you just for you to say, what did you say? And it becomes a thing. I ain't doing it. I'll ignore you. So much to the point, like, you're gonna come downstairs. I'm not doing it. And so that's a boundary for me. And it's a respect thing for me. I respect myself enough to where I'm your father. You should come to me if you have a question. Like, I'm almost 40. I only got so many steps left. Okay. And I don't know if one of them steps is one step closer to whatever's the end. I ain't about to get closer for you to ask me to do something stupid. No, we ain't doing that. So you got to clarify your needs and wants. Okay. You also have to identify your boundaries. You got to implement those boundaries. And that comes through being assertive, right? Being assertive is not you being mean, it is you saying what you mean and meaning what you say and saying it with clarity, right? Being assertive is not being long-winded. It is being concise. It is being to the point and letting people understand what it is that you are about. Okay. Hey, can I borrow $1,000? No, but I don't mind giving you 200, and I believe that that'll help you on your journey to getting to 1,000. Sounds like a plan to me, right? I didn't deny them. I wasn't mean about it. I just said that I can't help you with what you asked. So I came back and said, here's what I can do. I find that to be helpful. You $200 closer than you was before. All right, inner and outer boundaries, and we'll be done. Inner boundaries, internal boundaries are what we set to honor ourselves, right? These are those limitations that we place on ourselves. Okay. I go to bed at 9:30. I don't answer the phone at 11. If the phone rings at 11, I don't even see it. Okay. It doesn't even exist in the morning. All right. This allows me to acknowledge and respect my limits, what's important to me. All right. When we talk about those boundaries, this allows us to love and respect ourselves. Think about it. If I said I go to bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock, but I allow my mom to keep me on the phone to 11, 11:30, then now I can't get up at 3. I can't get up at 3:30. That sets me back. So now I'm not honoring myself, I honored my mom. Or did I? I need to feel good about me being consistent and the things I'm trying to get done in my life and the life of my family. All right. So here's some questions you can ask yourself. Um, are we invalidating and suppressing our emotions? Are we respecting our own personal limits and our time constraints? Are you giving all your time to somebody? Are we blaming ourselves for everybody else's discomfort? Are we honoring ourselves by being honest with our own mistakes? Are we taking time to celebrate our own These are questions you need to be asking yourself. We talked about that a second ago. And then outer boundaries. This is that bubble we build around ourselves. Okay. This allows us to determine who, when, where, and how a person can access our space. Don't knock on my door without telling me you was coming. Step 10 feet away. COVID, brother. Eye contact. I'm cool with the eye contact. When people drive by me, I'm so antagonistic. When people drive by me or they in traffic and they staring at me, I love to stare back. Okay. Like I love it. I love to stare back at people because we gonna break eye contact. It ain't gonna be me. You staring at me for a reason. I just want to know. Maybe we know each other. I don't know. But my boundary is you're not gonna stare at me. You know what I mean? I'm gonna stare back. That's probably a problem. That's probably not a good thing to teach people. Okay. Privacy issues. I teach my kids, knock on my door before you come in. You don't know what's going on in here. It's 3 of y'all right now, but we might be planning for 4. You need to listen, knock on my door. You're gonna see something you can't unsee. All right. Right. Listening to my conversation. Y'all kids be in your conversation, staring at y'all whole mouth, learning why you don't like grandma and everything. They done learned 10 reasons why you don't like grandma, all in your conversation. But tell them kids to get away. You got to create boundaries, right? And boundaries teaches them later in life that they should do the same thing for other people. All right.